Good afternoon. You're very welcome to the program. You're listening to Apna Radio broadcasting at 93.9 Dublin South FM. This is your own local broadcaster. SIRAJ ZAIDI is here until 4 o'clock local time. And whatever you're listening me, India time 8:30, going out at 9:30 because of the time lapse that we have. And indeed, wherever you're tuning me in the Middle East, London, New York, or wherever, you're very kind to tune me in every Thursday at 3 o'clock. We do go live from the studio here in Dublin, Apna Radio, to the world. Now, as you know, this is a local radio station and a local program, local broadcasting, and with a view of international, and very much so about covering India. Because it's in India, it is Apna Radio. Apna means your own language program. So we do go Hindi, English, any other language, but mainly we stick with the English language. Today is a special program because we have in the studio a local business leader, and should I say global business leader, not local, Mr. SURYA PATRA, who is the founder and CEO of a company called Softest IT company, and he is in the studio as my guest. I'll be talking to him in a minute, and before we complete and conclude the formality of the news and the contribution from Sharad from London. So without further ado, I'll play the news of the week.
Good afternoon, I'm Charmaine Colvin and you are listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM. On India this week, the US Department of Justice has dropped criminal fraud charges against Indian billionaire Gautam Adani and some officials of his firm, days after he agreed to settle a separate civil case. Adani Enterprises, his group's flagship firm, also agreed to pay £205 million to the US Treasury to settle a separate investigation into alleged violations of sanctions on Iran. Sources told the BBC that the Adani Group has now resolved all 3 legal cases against it in the US. This will pave the way for Adani to travel to the US without risk of legal proceedings. Media reports say the dropped charges reflect a broader move away from prosecuting foreign bribery cases under Donald Trump's administration. Adani, 63, is one of the world's richest people, worth $82 billion according to Forbes. His Adani Group is one of India's largest business conglomerates, with interests in sectors including energy, ports and airports. The cases against him had generated a lot of attention in the US and India. In 2024, the US Justice Department registered criminal fraud charges against Adani and various officials from his company for allegedly paying bribes to Indian officials for high-profile renewable energy projects and misleading US investors about it. He and his company strongly denied the allegations. Adani Green Energy said in a filing to regulators on Monday that the US Justice Department had filed a motion seeking dismissal with prejudice of the charges against Adani, his nephew Sagar, and other group officials. The BBC has seen a copy of an order issued by the US District Court in the Eastern District of New York, ordering the case to be dismissed. The New York Times reported, citing sources, that the lawyers said Adani would invest $10 billion in the US and create 15,000 jobs if prosecutors dropped the charges against him, repeating a pledge the billionaire made to Trump shortly after he won the 2024 presidential election. Last week, the US Securities and Exchange Commission moved to drop fraud charges against Adani and his nephew in a separate civil case after they agreed to pay a combined settlement of $18 million. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is asking Indians to tighten their belts in ways not seen since the pandemic. Work from home if possible, he urged, avoid unnecessary foreign travel, buy less gold, consume less fuel. The appeal, delivered at a public event in Hyderabad last Sunday, carried echoes of the COVID years, when the Prime Minister relied on symbolic mass participation to rally the country around a national cause. This time, the collective mission is economic survival, save dollars. Unsurprisingly, the message sent a wave of panic across India's financial markets. My view is we should prepare for paranoia before the event, Uday Kotak, a veteran Indian banker, told a gathering of industry leaders this week, adding, "We must prepare for the worst. We have not seen the impact in the last 2 months of the Middle East war in terms of energy price transmission. It's coming and it's coming big, and consumers have not felt the pressure at all," Kotak said. India's vulnerability is straightforward. The country imports roughly 90% of its crude oil and half of its gas needs. With the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow Gulf choke point through which much of the world's oil flows, shut for more than 2 months amid the war, India's import bill has ballooned by billions of dollars. Airfares have surged as airlines pass on fuel costs. Overseas holidays are becoming more expensive. Gold imports, a chronic drain on foreign exchange, have become a fresh target, with the government sharply raising import duties on gold and silver to 15%. What was initially seen as a temporary shock could now turn into a prolonged crisis. If that happens, India could be among the worst affected economies, says Rajaswari Sengupta, an associate professor of economics at Mumbai-based Indira Gandhi Institute of Development Research. Behind Modi's unusually direct appeal lies a deeper anxiety in Delhi. Not that India is running out of dollars as it did during the balance of payments crisis of 91, but that demand for dollars is beginning to outstrip supply at an uncomfortable pace. Back then, India had barely enough reserves to cover 3 weeks of imports. Today, it has around £510 billion in reserves, among the world's biggest and enough to finance India's good imports for 11 months. There is no imminent risk of default, but the pressures are real nonetheless. Oil, gas, fertilizer and gold imports are pushing up demand for dollars, just as foreign investment inflows weaken. Exports slow down and geopolitical uncertainty rattles markets. India's forex reserves have fallen by $38 billion since the Iran war began, one of the sharpest declines in the region. Modi's comments signal that the pressure on the government fiscal finances is reaching a tipping point, that there is less appetite for further rupee depreciation, and that the burden of adjustment may be incrementally shared with consumers, according to Aradeep Nandi and Sonal Varma of Nomura, a Japanese broking house. India's inflation is already on its way up. HSBC called the latest inflation number calm before the climb, with prices set to go up on account of the twin energy and Niño, a weather phenomenon which releases more heat into the atmosphere, shocks, which will force the central bank to hike the cost of borrowing. According to the latest National Crime Records Bureau report, for the year 2023 to 24, there was a nearly 18% increase in cybercrimes year on year, with Indians losing more than 220 billion rupees to digital fraud. In 2024, 101,928 cybercrimes were registered, an almost 50% increase from 2021. Digital arrests, where criminals impersonate law enforcement or government officials to falsely accuse victims of a crime and intimidate them into staying on a video call to extort money, are among the most frequently reported scams in the country. Scammers also use fake investment apps, deceptive emails or text messages to steal or trick people into sharing sensitive information, such as one-time passcodes and passwords. They also use AI to clone voices and impersonate people or send emotional pleas to extort money. Experts say that while the increase in cases could reflect better reporting of cyber crimes, it also underscores the changing nature of criminal activity. An editorial in the Telegraph newspaper said that the NCRB report mapped the emerging anxieties of a society that is being reshaped by technology, urbanization and economic change, and added that newer forms of criminality are challenging India's criminal justice system. According to the latest NCRB report, by the end of 2024, around 100,000 cybercrime cases were pending investigation and about 75,000 were yet to be tried in court. New numbers released by Goa's tourism department underscore new tourism trends. Nearly 900,000 foreigners visited the state in 2017. By 2025, the number had fallen to around 500,000. The number of domestic tourists, on the other hand, grew from 6.8 million in 2016 to more than 10 million last year. The state's tourism department recently said that the global geopolitical situation has been affecting overseas flows. We have had to remain both pessimistic and optimistic while planning ahead, Rohan Kant, Goa's tourism minister, told a local outlet. But the decline in numbers predates the recent conflict, which begs the question, why are foreign visitors who've patronised the relaxed budget getaway since the hippie heyday of the 60s and 70s now turning away? Ernest Diaz, who is a committee member at Goa's Department of Tourism and runs a large travel charter company, says cheaper hotels and easier on-arrival visas have prompted European and Russian visitors to look elsewhere in Asia, Vietnam and Sri Lanka in particular. Experts also blame longer, more cumbersome visa procedures and a hike in the 5-year visa fees for the decline in visitor numbers. Diaz says the local government has finally woken up to the problem, admitting that perhaps Goa had let its guard down for too long. We are now trying our best to get the foreigners back with roadshows. We recently went to Poland and Scandinavia as our next target market, he said, adding that the state is also keen to draw more non-European visitors from Asia and Africa in the years ahead. And finally, as a child, Rebel often felt she was watching life from the sidelines. Now at 24, the rapper has become one of the most compelling new voices in Indian hip-hop. Hailing from the rain-soaked hills of Meghalaya in India's northeast, Rebel raps in English as well as Khasi and Jaintia, indigenous languages spoken by tribal communities in the region, and writes about distance, reinvention and survival with an emotional restraint that feels unusually deliberate. Until recently, she was known mostly within Shillong's close-knit music circles, in a city better known for rock bands, church choirs and old guitar legends than hip-hop. Her breakout moment came with Durandar, the Bollywood action film, whose soundtrack introduced millions to her cool clip delivery. Her latest single, Praying Mantis, which released this week, has once again made her a talking point, with fans dissecting the dark, hypnotic track online. And that's all from me. You have been listening to India This Week on Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Thank you so much indeed, Charmaine, for huge ground that you have covered today. And what a shocking observation that you have actually sketched today about the reserves are falling, inflation is up. Modi ji is announcing the tightening the belt for the world, for the nation, while himself gallivanting the world, what a contradiction in itself. He's in Norway, wooing the Scandinavian economy and the Scandinavian countries, saying that the ball is in your court and all that. So, the behavior outside India is one thing and behavior inside India is a complete different picture altogether. Cybercrime, on the other hand, is rising. Digital arrest, which we have actually devoted quite a lot of time in our program, talking about the cybercrime and the digital arrest for particularly vulnerable people like old people and less savvy when it comes to cyber literacy and computer literate people who are older, age bracket people, and they're not computer savvy. So therefore, these kind of and I've seen the shocking videos for that is, in fact, there was a beautiful short film which has been forwarded to me, and I saw that a young girl who was going to Australia, somehow the other they have trapped her and she ended up killing herself by handing over the 60 lakh rupees just before, these guys have actually threatened her and all that. So that's rising. What it says about the country, what it says about the economy, is something that we have to live with that, and also live in times when the bigger investors and the biggest, the economic powerhouse of India, such as Adani's and all that, beginning to realize that, they can get away with a murder. 82 billion worth of his personal wealth, it has now been given a clean chit. We'll hear from Sharad, because Sharad has actually done a lot of work on this particular point, on this issue itself. And so we'll just sit back and listen to Sharad's analysis on this.
If you wanted to capture India, how would you do it? If you wanted to conquer India, how would you do it? Today, what we are going to talk about is a step-by-step guide how the United States have used its methods, its methodology, its tools, its law, its bully, and other things to get a foothold in India and influence India in the geopolitics for its own benefit. How India has been captured both politically and economically. This may sound too much of a conspiracy theory, but let me give you the reference of the news that just came in 2 days ago. So Gautam Adani, who is the greatest friend of the Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, all his cases of corrupt practices that were in court in United States have been permanently closed. So what does this mean? This means that when a man accused of massive financial misconduct walks away after promises of billions in investments and thousands of jobs, is justice still a principle, or has it become a negotiable asset an asset of India which this billionaire holds for next 50 years. So the American justice system has negotiated a plea deal with the strongest and the closest political economic ally of the system of India. And that is where our story begins today. So the Adani case can be viewed narrowly in a legal story. Viewed structurally, if you may, it is a story about power, about how wealth, geopolitics, strategic investments, legal lobbying, and the national interest intersect in today's modern global order. And the law in such cases, if you see, does not disappear. They bend. They become selective. They become negotiable. And overall, the picture becomes a serious dynamics of law becoming subordinate to strategic priorities. If you look at the history, the United States presented itself as a moral prosecutor of global corruption through laws such as Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. In fact, just a couple of months ago, we had seen the American judicial system using its army to handcuff the Venezuelan president on charges of drug dealing and again the foreign corrupt practices. In Washington, foreign executives are prosecuted. They have sanctioned Russian oligarchs. They have punished Iranian banks. They have shut down all the transactions with North Korea. They have also projected an image that even though it's a billionaire, no billionaire is above law. Yet, if you observe their history closely, repeatedly it shows that the enforcement in United States is rarely isolated from geopolitical convenience of the United States. So this settlement of Gautam Adani and Sagar Adani, it is raising a serious uncomfortable question about whether justice system in these powerful nations from United States to India, they are increasingly influenced by economic bargaining rather than any ethical consistency, I would say. If Gautam Adani and Sagar Adani had a case of corrupt practices in United States, there is nothing in cognizance by the Indian law authorities, because we all know the closeness, the political closeness of the Adani group with the leading and ruling political party of India. And therefore, the consequences are severe. On both sides of these powerful nations, the stakes of trade, economics, and political manipulations are very high. So if you look at the sequence of events, initially, US authority pursued allegations against Adani aggressively. And the accusations were really serious. They involved claims of bribery linked to renewable energy contracts in India, which in turn was misleading to American investors, to American security fraudulent practices, and anti-bribery compliance failures. So the numbers involved were also enormous. Hundreds of millions of dollars were allegedly tied to these dealings by the Adani group. At that stage, if you observed, American establishment projected they are very firm. There is a moral clarity. And of course, there was a big institutional Justice Department confidence. But then suddenly, the atmosphere changed. The same case then became not worth prosecutorial resource. So the charges were dismissed with a prejudice, meaning that the matter cannot be revived, permanently closed. Simultaneously, all civil penalties remained relatively modest compared to the scale of allegations and financial stature of the accused. So this billionaire, Gautam Adani, is worth over $80 billion. And he gets away by paying a few $1 million, and that too without admitting wrongdoing. And what does the public perceive? It's not a punishment, it's a transaction management. And this transformation is not just isolated, it's not in vacuum. Now hold your chair. It is reported that Adani hired elite American legal operators who were connected to the highest circle of power around Donald Trump, the President of the United States. And the reported involvement of this legal firm and Robert Guilford Jr., who is the powerful legal person handling Trump's own legal defense system. Now that is significant. If you have access to the elite, to the President of United States, Adani's case only reflects how easily somebody can get away. Because in US, as it seems, the influence is institutionalized through lobbying firms, elite law practices, campaign networks, and strategic investment promises. So what does this strategic investment promises mean? It is alleged that $10 billion investment in United States and a creation of 15,000 jobs have been negotiated during this legal case. Whether it was formally decisive or not, this is secondary. But if you look at the optics, it is damaging the institutional credibility of justice system both in India and in United States. It is creating a clear impression that justice can be softened if it is accompanied by economic incentives and geopolitical usefulness. If you talk the same language but replace the billionaire by a man on the street, this is called bribery. This is called economic influence. Legally, the governments can have prosecutorial discretion, but then morally, the question is far more difficult. If a middle-class executive from Asia, Africa, or Latin America were to be accused of similar conduct without a strategic leverage of tens of billions of investment dollars, would the United States government come up with the same leniency? And we have seen in cases of the International Court of Justice or the ICC, this modern legal system that we have, they only appear harsh towards ordinary offenders, towards leaders of Africa. Yet, they are so flexible towards systemic elites whose capital flows are politically valuable. Donald Trump today needs investments. So, how do we look at the bigger picture? First, he negotiated, probably, allegedly, using the leverage of Epstein file against Narendra Modi in order to get the US trade deal into the farming sector of India, into the agriculture sector of India, into the manufacturing sector of India. And now, because Adani holds his leverage, his companies, his clout into both political and into the infrastructure of India like the ports, airports, mines, roads, railroads, the US have been able to oil its entire pipeline into the Indian economic system. And United States have done this before also. American foreign policy, historically, it oscillates between moral rhetoric and strategic practicalism. Washington had sanctioned dictators and then immediately they have started to arm them. It has condemned corruption in adversaries while overlooking its allies. During the Cold War, anti-corruption concerns were routinely subordinated to anti-communist priorities. And after 9/11, human rights were frequently diluted in favor of counter-terror partnership. And with the latest revelations from Pakistan about how the American governments were unhappy with the policies of Imran Khan, they had colluded with the Pakistani army to jail the democratically elected leader of Pakistan, Imran Khan. So their involvement is all well practiced, but the formula is same. The justice as it looks like is not what it is on the grounds. Today, India occupies a central place in America's strategic competition with China, and therefore the focus of all the tools and methodologies to get hold of Indian economics political system has become the focus. Washington may view India not merely as market, but is seen as a geopolitical counterweight to China. I would thoroughly disagree with this approach because comparing India with China is like comparing candlelight with the sunshine. It is, to my assessment, only the Indian foolish market, the herd mentality of American goods, that is what the American strategists going after. And that is how they have created a strategic asset with Adani Group linked to the infrastructure, ports, energy corridors, logistics, supply chain, and hence the influence in India. Everybody knows Adani Group is deeply embedded in this architecture of India. And that is how they have caught hold of India by the neck, by its choke point. Therefore, Adani's case has become symbolic of this age, the age where the nations speak language of ethics, rule-based order across the world, but then they only operate through transactional realism, where billionaires are not merely economic actors, but they have become geopolitical instruments. These investments are a promise to softness in the legal systems of either India or United States, both. And the legal system, which is supposed to be blind, the legal system, which is supposed to give justice to a common man and to a billionaire, does not have a moral consistency now. If somebody is not able to handle this, normalization is corrosive. It is not rule-based order of the world. And the consequences in future are going to be grave because now everyone will be looking towards capturing the economic leverage, the economic value of their business, and their connection with the elite, political elite of the country, making the entire system only corrupt, only abusive, and absolutely devoid of moral consistency. We will continue with this story, how the influence of Adani Group is exploiting the resources of India just because it has got a conduit of lenient justice system in United States, and the resources of India are being siphoned off to the global players, how India has been captured both politically and economically. We will keep a tab on this. We will keep observing it. Until then, stay safe, stay informed, dutifully ask questions. At the end of the day, someone has to stand up. Bye for now.
Broadcasting to South Dublin on 93.9, this is Dublin South FM.
Strip and Dip is back, and this year we're going full 80s for our third Guinness World Record. Join hundreds of women on the beach June the 6th in Wicklow for the most unforgettable, feel-good, bear-all event of the summer. Ladies, dig out those leg warmers, tease that hair, and get ready to get your kit off for kids with cancer. All for the incredible charity Aveen's Pink Tie and the families they support. Register now at stripanddip.ie. Strip and Dip. We do it for the kids. Ladies only, sorry lads.
Fight like a child.
Your community radio for South Dublin. Dublin South FM.
Welcome back to the program. Indeed, Dublin South FM. You're listening to SIRAJ ZAIDI until 4 o'clock, and time is really galloping and running so fast. However, as I promised you earlier on, I'm going to discuss the guest in the studio, SURYA, Mr. SURYA Patra. So, SURYA, you're very welcome to the program. And, if you can be closer to the mic a little bit, and we'll talk about your business. And indeed, you've seen and heard what the global business is like between US and America and US and India and all that. But you are the founder and CEO of Chief Executive Officer of an IT company called Softest. Please tell me and the listeners, what is Softest?
First of all, Siraji, thank you so much for inviting to this show, and I have absolute pleasure to be here. And in terms of Softest, that's my brainchild, my baby.
Wow. Wonderful.
I started Softest about 14 years ago. Firstly, it was registered in the UK.
Okay.
And then in Ireland, it was registered later on. So it's about 15 years now in the game. And we, in Softest, we hire technology professionals, very high caliber technology professionals for mainly technological companies, fintech companies, and telecoms in Ireland as well as in the UK. And to a certain extent, we have also hired very high caliber people for our clients in other countries in the Europe.
Okay, so effectively speaking, your company is the IT recruitment company for high tech companies. Is that so?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. And we have a specialism there. So we cater to the very niche kind of skills.
Okay.
And typically when other tech recruiters in the market are not able to fulfill those roles for our clients, we step in there and we help our clients with the right kind of people they are looking for, and we hire them from the local market, from Ireland. If it's Irish client, for Irish client, we hire people from the Ireland. And for UK clients, we hire people from United Kingdom.
Okay, lovely. So you go to the mix match, and you match the requirement of an employer a bit with your skilled people. And if you don't have a skilled people, you'll hire those skilled people, either local market or abroad.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful.
So when we have seen also in many times the talent is not available within the local market.
Okay.
Be it Ireland or UK, then in that case we look at India and sometimes other countries to get the right talent over here. So we facilitate the whole process. We do the critical skills permits for them, and we help them with the visa processing to move from India to Ireland or UK.
How easy or difficult it is getting now? Before that, it was relatively easy, but now, did you find it a little bit more scrutinizing, more complications in that process?
Yes. Recently, over about a year or so, I have personally witnessed the challenges, and there is more scrutiny, and the system seems to be tightening. And that is probably driven by the fact that we have a lot of tech talent here in Ireland who are looking for jobs.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense to get fresh talent from India in these circumstances. So, and it is totally justified that we should be in a position to absorb the local talent, and then if there is a shortfall, then we should be looking outside.
There was a law here before that that you look for first locally and then look for Europe. And if you don't find it in Europe and locally, only then you go out to Far East and India and all that. That law is still, I think, applicable.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is, I would say, probably it is not law, but it is a common understanding.
Okay.
And it is always easier to find somebody in the local market. If somebody is available, obviously it saves the time to, convert them to an employee. And also it's easier. It's they are available for face-to-face interviews, and they're available to work on site. So it makes the whole process easier. I have seen that tendency among my customers that first go for the local people. If the talent is not available locally, reach out to Europe, because for European candidates, we don't need their visa and all, because by citizenship,
absolutely,
they are eligible to work in Ireland. And, if not in Europe, then we look outside.
So how the Irish economy and your business is, if you compare with your, business with the Irish economy, do you think that it is compatible, or it is outgrowing, or it is demanding or challenging? How do you view it now at the moment?
Well, it is cyclical like any other business. And with the Irish economy, our business is pretty much linked. It's very related closely, and it kind of follows the similar pattern, similar kind of life cycle.
Sure.
But again, it also follows, it gets mixed with some of our clients are from American clients. They're having their business in Ireland. We cater to them. So it also follows American economy, American business cycles. It's a bit complex, but then nearly it follows the, I would say rather global technology trend.
Yeah. And you've noticed that so many, as I said earlier on, so many companies are based here. The American already are here.
Absolutely.
With Apple, Google, and Facebook, and all those companies, the giants are here already paying corporate tax. Would you be qualifying for the same level of 10% corporate tax, or would you be higher as a local business person paying higher tax?
I'm not exactly sure how much tax they pay, the American companies, but for local companies, it is 12.5%.
12.5. Okay, yes. Okay. No, the Americans have been wooed by the Irish, the ministers and all that for 10%. For that, a lot of European states have objected at that why where our Spain and France and all those countries, they have to pay the higher tax anyway. But that's it's not too bad in that sense that you are also more or less in the same category in that. Lovely. Yeah. Recently, Suryaji, you have been awarded a business award. It was called the Business of the Year Award. How do you feel about, first of all, this company this organization who awarded you, and how do you take the future with this success story?
Well, this is definitely a big milestone for a company like ours to be recognized at a Ireland level. One organization is nominating and then selecting us as the Entrepreneur of the Year award. So it's CICI, Confederation of Indian Communities in Ireland.
Yeah.
They conferred that award on me earlier this year. So they evaluated various aspects, and they obviously received quite a few other applications also, and then they shortlisted me with their group of jury that evaluated the whole process. So, I mean, and definitely it is a recognition for us, and it is something to showcase to our clients as well as to the customers, as well as to our candidates for whom we provide the jobs.
Right.
So our business is dependent on the trust in the market.
Right.
Like rather than anything else, it is the trust and recognition, and how well known we are, how are our dealings in various aspects, including the financial aspects, is very, very important. And if we don't do that in a clean manner, and if there is no validation to that from the market, then our business can struggle to survive.
Right.
So this is a critical step, and we continuously keeping that in mind, we continuously strive for excellence, good quality of service to our clients as well as the job seekers, and also we make sure that it's maintained throughout, so that keeps us in the business.
Right.
And now I find that majority of our new customers are coming to us by word of mouth.
Okay.
So that only happens because of the brand, the image that we have created in the market.
Right.
And most of the customers also come to us with repeat orders, repeat requests to fulfill their role. So they trust us.
Okay.
That's for a reason.
Okay.
And that we have to satisfy all the time.
Wonderful. And when they contact you and when they actually hire you, do they contract you for a 3-year contract, 5-year contract, or is it an annual one?
It's typically 3 years, and it's renewed after 3 years.
After 3 years,
Yeah.
it's renewed.
Yeah.
The last question that I would like to ask you is that the global economy, which has been going ups and downs because of the crisis in the Middle East, does it have any impact on your business as much as not much?
Yes, to a certain extent, but then this is not the only factor. There are a lot of other factors playing around in the technology market, because we play in the technology area. So it's a technology ups and downs in the global market that affects our business. And there have been other reasons beyond this recent war situation that has affected the market. And in fact, it's what I see in the business trend is that in the last 2-3 months, our business has gotten slightly improved.
Oh, wonderful.
And that coincides with the war.
Okay.
It's not that war has caused our business to improve, but there are so many factors that are playing around. As a result, it is getting better, because we saw nearly 2 years of slowdown,
dip
in the market, and now we're expecting it to slightly go up. But war came in, probably it has dampened the effect, but still it's slightly better than my previous years.
Wonderful. Then another question that coming to my mind is that everybody is using this buzzword of AI. Is that AI is going to be affecting your business?
Well, maybe in the short term, but in long term, it is going to help.
Okay.
That's because AI again falls within the technology, and all that improvements, developments, and upscaling is going to happen all around the world is around AI. And then there will be need for a lot of more people, a lot of more technology talents to support the AI initiatives, and that's going to boost up our business in the long run.
Super.
Dublin South FM.
You wouldn't buy a car without knowing its history. So why would you buy a story without knowing who's telling it? Come here and I tell you. It's not always easy to verify what you see, read, or hear. But now there's help. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland, supported by RTE.
93.9 Dublin South FM.
So, Suryaji, tell our listeners and the the audience that how you started and what would be the journey for you from the beginning when you started. And I believe it was in Belfast. Northern Ireland.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I started the business, I was in Belfast. But I'll go a little before that.
Okay, sure.
Where I come from and how it has been in my mind, all that kind of thing. Probably it will interest the audience, probably.
Yeah.
So, yes, I from India. I come from a small village in eastern part of India and from a middle-class family.
Very good.
And I have been brought up in a small town or big village, I can say.
Okay.
And my parents to a very middle class, mediocre kind of background.
What was your father?
My father was a businessman.
Okay.
He used to run a clothes shop. In fact, in my area, he was the first clothes shop owner. Not a factory. It was a shop.
It's a shop, clothing shop. Yeah.
Clothing shop, and it was he owned the first shop in that area. So
very good.
It's quite old, and he has that reputation of having the first shop, and that's how many people knew him. And my mother used to be a simple
housewife, a homemaker. Yeah.
So, and then I had my brothers. They are also quite good at studies, and I was better than them to some extent. So I got an edge from my parents that they left me to continue with my career aspirations, whereas like a typical parents in India, they were expecting the children, my siblings, to also help him in his business.
Okay.
So that his business is sustained over a period of time.
Yeah.
But he kind of, after a certain period when he saw my education, like how I was excelling in the class, he got the feedback from my teachers and my friends and relatives. So he allowed me to continue with my studies, which helped me focusing more into my studies. And I did a good job with my till like I got into a very good school and then college and then engineering college. And then I, because I have seen my father running the business, it was always in my mind also to have something on my own
business-wise,
business, not just the kind of clothes shop, something bigger, something better and nicer, more fancy. That was always there in my mind. Then eventually I came to England and then to Ireland, and then when I reached age of 50, I said, okay, now let me. It's only few years of my career left. So let me utilize the rest of the time in a business, something that I like. And then that is where I can keep going. And this is only one life. And I need to fulfill my aspirations.
Lovely. Lovely.
So, and one very interesting thing is that like during my working career of about 25 years, I have changed 20 jobs.
Oh, wow.
It's quite a bit. And each time I have changed jobs, I have got in touch with recruitment companies, recruitment agencies, and dealt with them. In that process, I saw a lot of gaps. How the recruitment companies are dealing with people, how they treat them.
So you spotted the gap there,
yes,
in the market. Okay.
Exactly. So somewhere in the back of my mind, I wanted to have a company to address those gaps.
Oh, lovely.
So that is where my company Softest Consulting Services came in.
Wonderful.
And then that is why we put a lot of focus on quality of service, trying to satisfy the people around us and, satisfying their needs, quick turnaround, and putting some technology tools to assist our services and help our stakeholders, customers, clients, and job seekers, and everyone. So that is the ethos that kept us,
and it's a
being in the business.
Positive feedback you get from your clients and everything.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. No, it's a really inspiring story, and I'm sure the listeners would appreciate your achievements. And I wish you all the best and more prosperous and more growth in your company, in Softest company, and it will becoming a global. Because as you can see that. Anything which you put a heart and soul into, anything, it becomes a hard, sincere work. It grows. So thank you so much indeed once again for giving an insight of your approach to your business and to your work. Many thanks for coming to the studio, and sharing your, business and work story. You're most welcome, and by all means, anytime you feel like talking to someone, you want to reach out to it, Apna Radio is there for you at your service. And I'm absolutely honored and delighted to have you as a guest of Apna Radio this afternoon.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, and thank you, Apna Radio.
Thank you. Now, that's the time for some songs, because we haven't played any songs whatsoever. And I don't know how long the time overall left, but we'll get some songs today. And I'll be back next week, same time, same place. Don't forget to tune me in. Bye for now, and thank you very much indeed for tuning me in. Bye for now.
ये रेशमी जुल्फें, ये शरबती आंखें, इन्हें देख कर जी रहे हैं सभी, इन्हें देख कर जी रहे हैं सभी। ये रेशमी जुल्फें, ये शरबती आंखें, इन्हें देख कर जी रहे हैं सभी, इन्हें देख कर जी रहे हैं सभी। जाएंगी जो ये आंखें शर्म से झुक जाएंगी, सारी बातें यहीं बस रुक जाएंगी। चुप रहना ये अफसाना, कोई इनको ना बतलाना, कि इन्हें देख कर पी रहे हैं सभी, इन्हें देख कर पी रहे हैं सभी। ये रेशमी जुल्फें, ये शरबती आंखें, इन्हें देख कर जी रहे हैं सभी, इन्हें देख कर जी रहे हैं सभी। कर देंगी दीवाना, कोई इनको ना बतलाना, कि इन्हें देख कर जी रहे हैं सभी, इन्हें देख कर जी रहे हैं सभी। शिकायत करते हैं सारे, इनकी शिकायत करते हैं, फिर भी इनसे मोहब्बत करते हैं। ये क्या जादू है जाने, फिर चाक गिरे दीवाने, इन्हें देख कर सी रहे हैं सभी, इन्हें देख कर सी रहे हैं सभी। ये रेशमी जुल्फें, ये शरबती आंखें, इन्हें देख कर जी रहे हैं सभी, इन्हें देख कर जी रहे हैं सभी। महबूब मेरे महबूब मेरे महबूब मेरे महबूब मेरे तू है तो दुनिया कितनी हंसी है जो तू नहीं तो कुछ भी नहीं है कीमत मौसम की तू हो तो बढ़ जाती है कीमत मौसम की ये जो तेरी आंखें हैं शोला शबनम सी यही मरना